Most people grow up believing that school teaches everything they need to succeed in life. But as the years pass and responsibilities grow heavier, a quiet realization begins to surface. When it comes to money, the very thing that influences your choices, your opportunities, and even your sense of stability, school doesn't tell you nearly enough. And this isn't because teachers don't care, or because education lacks value. It's simply because real-world money doesn't behave like classroom concepts. It doesn't follow linear explanations or clean formulas. Money follows human behavior, psychology, habits, and decisions. And the harsh truth is that the most important lessons about money aren't academic at all. They're practical, emotional, and deeply connected to how you think about your future. This is the part most people are left to figure out on their own, often after years of stress, mistakes, and trial and error. If you've ever wondered why someone who excelled in school still struggles financially, or why a person who barely passed exams ends up building stability and confidence, the answer lies in the hidden truths school never teaches. Money has its own language, and the people who take the time to understand it, calmly, slowly, consistently, are the ones who gain clarity long before they gain wealth. Not because they're lucky or gifted, but because they've learned how to think about money with maturity instead of fear, avoidance, or impulse. The world outside the classroom is full of choices, distractions, temptations, opportunities, and responsibilities. And how you navigate those moments determines far more about your financial path than the grades you once earned. School prepares you to pass tests. Life challenges you to pass yourself. One of the first truths rarely spoken is that money is emotional long before it becomes logical. People spend, save, or avoid money not because of calculators, but because of feelings, stress, insecurity, excitement, fear of missing out, or the desire for comfort. When schools don't teach you emotional literacy or financial self-awareness, you enter adulthood reacting to money instead of directing it. You buy small things for instant relief, and over time those small habits quietly shape your long-term reality. A cup of comfort, a moment of pleasure, an impulsive decision that felt harmless. These are the patterns that grow roots. But the moment you begin to see money not as a source of stress or escape, but as a tool, something shifts. You stop being driven by your impulses and begin acting from intention. That single shift isn't loudly celebrated, but it's quietly transformative. Another truth schools rarely address is that your income does not automatically determine your financial health. Many people assume life will get easier once they make more money, yet countless individuals earn far more today than they once did but still feel just as stuck. This happens because without understanding how to manage what you have, more simply becomes more to mismanage. Money magnifies your habits. If your habits are unclear, money becomes unclear. If your habits are disciplined, money becomes easier to direct. Stability doesn't come from the amount you earn, but from the consistency of your decisions. Schools train you to perform under pressure, but real financial growth comes from staying consistent even when there is no pressure at all, when no one is watching, when the excitement fades, when it's just you and the choices in front of you. Another harsh truth is that comparison quietly destroys financial progress. School creates an environment where everyone measures themselves against one another, grades, achievements, recognition. But the moment you carry that habit into adulthood, you begin spending money not for yourself, but for the approval of others. You buy things to keep up, to match the lifestyle of people who may be struggling privately themselves. You compare your beginning to someone else's middle. And in doing so, you lose the mental space needed for growth. Financial maturity begins when you realize you don't need to match anyone's pace. Your journey is your own. Your timeline is your own. Your progress is valid even if no one sees it or celebrates it. Quiet progress is still progress, and often the most meaningful kind. Another truth you won't learn in a classroom is how deeply your environment shapes your relationship with money. The voices around you influence your decisions more than you realize. If you're surrounded by people who see money as a source of fear, scarcity, or limitation, you begin to adopt those beliefs without questioning them. If you're surrounded by people who focus only on short-term pleasure, you naturally drift into impulsive habits. But the moment you surround yourself, emotionally, socially, or digitally, with people who value discipline, learning, patience, and growth, you begin to rewire your thinking. You start seeing money as a tool instead of a trap, as something that responds to clarity, not chaos. Mindset is not a personality trait. It's a skill you can build, refine, and strengthen over time. And when you shift your mindset, you shift your decisions. When you shift your decisions, you shift your life. One of the most important truths school never teaches is that time is your most powerful financial partner. Not timing the market. Not chasing opportunities. Simply time itself. Small improvements repeated consistently always create more meaningful outcomes than big efforts done inconsistently. You don't have to change your entire life overnight. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You simply need to choose a direction and commit to taking steady steps in that direction. The world rewards consistency far more than intensity. But because school emphasizes fast results and short-term deadlines, many people grow up believing that slow progress means failure. In reality, slow progress is the foundation of financial stability. It's the kind of progress that lasts. It's the kind of progress that compounds quietly until one day it becomes visible. Another truth school never teaches is that money responds to the value you create, not the hours you work. A person can work tirelessly and still struggle, not because they lack effort, but because they haven't learned how to create value in a way that the world recognizes. Value can come from skills, creativity, reliability, knowledge, communication, or problem solving. But schools often focus on memorization instead of development. They teach you what to think, not how to think. Real-life wealth building starts when you realize your most important asset isn't money. It's your ability to solve problems, improve yourself, and build skills that make you useful. The world often rewards usefulness far more than it rewards intelligence alone. Another hidden lesson is that financial growth requires boundaries. Saying no becomes as important as saying yes. No to unnecessary expenses. No to unhealthy pressure. No to distractions disguised as opportunities. No to environments that drain your focus. Boundaries protect your direction. And direction, not speed, is what determines your financial future. School rarely teaches you how to set boundaries, but adulthood requires it. Another truth is that comfort, if not managed carefully, becomes a quiet trap. When you're too comfortable, you stop stretching. You stop learning. You stop paying attention to the habits guiding your life. Comfort creates the illusion of progress even when nothing is changing. This doesn't mean you should chase stress or hardship, but rather that growth requires intentional effort. Discipline is uncomfortable in the beginning, but over time it becomes a source of peace, because it gives you control over your choices instead of letting circumstances control you. And perhaps one of the deepest truths about money, one that rarely appears in textbooks, is that your identity shapes your financial reality. If you believe you're someone who always struggles, your decisions start aligning with that belief. If you see yourself as someone who is learning, improving, becoming more capable, your decisions shift accordingly. Identity precedes action. When you upgrade the story you tell yourself, you upgrade the actions you're willing to take. And when your actions change, your outcomes slowly begin to change too. The real world teaches you that money is not just a financial concept, it's a behavioral one. It rewards patience, discipline, clarity, and responsibility. It responds to your patterns, not your intentions. And it grows in environments where you protect your time, your focus, and your energy. School may give you knowledge, but life requires wisdom. And wisdom develops through awareness, self-reflection, experience, and consistent effort. The harsh truth is that no one will manage your money for you. No one will build your habits for you. And no one will think long-term for you. These responsibilities fall into your hands the moment you decide to take control of your financial direction. But here's the part that brings hope. You don't need a perfect start. You don't need extraordinary talent. You don't need to know everything right now. You simply need awareness, patience, and a commitment to making small, steady improvements. Every intentional decision you make, no matter how small, becomes a quiet investment in the future version of you. Every moment you choose clarity over impulse strengthens your path. And every step you take toward understanding money creates more stability, more confidence, and more freedom over time. So as you move forward, remember that you're not behind, and you're not limited by what school didn't teach you. You have the ability to learn, to grow, and to rebuild your relationship with money through conscious choices made day by day. Your financial future is not defined by your past. It's shaped by your willingness to grow. Stay patient. Stay disciplined. Stay curious. And allow yourself to rise slowly, steadily, intentionally. Because the real power of money isn't in the amount you have. It's in the understanding you build that allows you to use it wisely for the life you want.